I do have a sense of normalcy in the previous years to the Allende government. It felt like a childhood that was happy somehow. No major complications. And I think that relates to the country, that we were a peaceful country with some opportunities for people, and we were living in a democracy. I don't have recollections of major events precisely because of that, I think, because the country was so stable that there wasn't anything, to maybe remember in my case, okay, like affecting me big time. I did hear the rockets. I did hear the impact of the rockets in the Moneda Palace, as well as the jets flying by. It was impossible not to hear it. So I went up to the second floor trying to see, or even up, maybe to upwards, but I couldn't see anything. I just could hear. I don't know if I saw any of the jets. I think it was only two. But that morning was shocking and traumatizing, precisely because of the disparity between the beauty of the day and the horrific sound of the bombs exploding. But I knew at the time that that was going on, and I knew how daring it was to expose yourself to be out in the streets. There was a lot of chanting, political chanting, but that was combined also with terror. So the terror inflicted in the bodies, and by that I mean not necessarily that you would be personally tortured. I'm talking about the environment, the way you felt, that you felt terrorized, because of course you had the guys, wearing those dark glasses, Pinochet himself, the very first day of that coup. So that gave you already a good lead in terms of, okay, you're gonna be terrorized. Now, how does your body? I'm not talking about even your mind. I'm talking about the way you feel about kind of strangled, suffocated, and unable to express yourself. So, yes, they were celebrating the life of Neruda, demonstrating out in the streets. But at the same time, we all knew that the situation was stark, very stark. And that was just a little tiny, tiny light. Very tiny. But it was something. That year was depressing. It's one of my saddest years, because my friends, they had to leave. Some went into exile with their families. I feel like I like a broken person, because I was going in this direction, and all of a sudden there is a vacuum. My connections, where are they? My political life went away. My social life was linked to my politics, so that went away. But at the time, the university's chancellor was an army soldier, placed by the junta, the military junta. So there was no organization, there was no student organization like we have here at the college. There were no political parties. You could not associate in any type of group with people. If you were doing that, you were doing something illegal, given the situation. But at the same time, we were using everyday life to build up community. So if we were studying, we were not doing something illegal. If we were at the cafeteria talking to each other, nothing, quote unquote, was going on. If we were to a party, it was just a party. So if I remember that one of the most important events for my friends was to play soccer. That was they knew what they were doing. That was not illegal, but here you have 18 people together associating to do something together at a given time, talking to each other and finding ways of undoing the situation. So we had to find simple activities that wouldn't look threatening to start building community. And we did it all the time. Social justice aspirations, fight for democracy. At the time, we were not fighting for socialism, by the way, we were fighting for democracy. This was a true fight for aspiring to regain democracy in any way we could, meaning, in our case, student association, student organization, which we take for granted here, but not at the time. So for me, that's also a time of beauty. You might not think about it like beauty, a bit mystical at times, too much, because what drove you to do something was some kind of youthful aspiration toward the good. There was something called la resistencia. So resist, right? La resistencia was the grounds movement toward resisting the dictatorship by creating any kind of little groups that would entail, opposition to the regime in peaceful ways. So I remember myself joining that aspiration, at least, and being part of La Resistencia with my fellow classmates. We were creating those groups as well. And you didn't have to be part of a specific, necessarily, political organization to be part of those. The idea was precisely to join forces and do something. All the time, I would say. But it wasn't like, it was part of the environment. It's like eating food for me. It's nothing out of the ordinary. So I was aware that they were being made and that they were sent out. I was probably aware that the Vicaría de Solidaridad had to do with that. I knew about the soup kitchens in shanty towns. I knew that it was arpilleras were very important for women working, from in poor neighborhoods in Santiago, and I must have seen lots of them around. But it wasn't something extraordinary for me. It was just something that was interesting, I would say, and no more than that. And no more than that. The Vicaría de Solidaridad was very important for me because it felt like a place of refuge. I went to the Vicaría several times. I don't remember why. And it was kind of scary and hope, and a place for hope at the same time, because you knew you probably were being watched as you were entering or exiting the place. But that was an important somehow location for dignity, yeah. But that was my little involvement. I mean, I was just a college kid, trying to write poetry and make friends and become someone. Okay, because you cannot get out of any authoritarian regime unless you have heart, beauty, sort of mysticism in my way of saying things, and you find enjoyment. Without that, you won't get out of anything in my way of saying things. At least that's my own experience.